Meanwhile, Ji-seong told Yoon that there were no cameras around and nothing would happen. Yoon felt compelled to go and asked for the address. Meanwhile, at Minji's house, she and Chai were cooking, but they had forgotten the essentials, drinks. As a result, Leon offered to go buy some. Meanwhile, in the parking lot, Ji-seong and Yoon were already there. Yoon claimed he only came to look after Ji-seong. Suddenly, Yoon saw Leon and Chai approaching with bags, and Ji-sun teased him, saying he had competition and that it seemed like Leon was in love with Chai. This made Yoon very uncomfortable, especially when Leon walked slowly toward Chai. However, Ji-sun quickly interrupted, and Yoon ran to help Chai, but they had to enter the house. A few hours later, everyone was seated at the table, waiting for the drama to start. Everyone was paying attention, and Leon told Chai she was acting impressively, but that he looked odd. She told him his work was also amazing, and when Yoon appeared on screen, he looked so handsome that everyone started saying he outshined the others because he was so good-looking. However, when Chai noticed that Leon seemed sad, she reassured him that he had also been charming. Soon after, Yoon received a call from his agent, who told him the audience results were in. Everyone was eager to know the outcome. Yoon shared that their drama had gotten an 11.4% rating, making it #1 in its time slot, surpassing Jun's drama. Leon hugged Chai, which made Yoon upset. Ji-sun quickly approached and tried to separate them by giving Leon playful kisses on the cheek. Leon, blushing, told him to stop, but everyone was laughing at their antics. A couple of minutes later, they were all celebrating and drinking. Ji-sun asked Chai if she would allow him to speak informally with her, and she agreed. After eating, Ji-sun suggested they play a game that would be fun, where the loser had to drink a shot of liquor. Chai was already on her third shot, losing repeatedly. Leon told her he wanted to be the one to drink for her, and that he would make a wish in exchange. Chai felt uncomfortable, but drank her shot. And when it was Yoon's turn, she excitedly mentioned that it was Yoon's favorite game, and it was clear the alcohol was starting to get to her head. Suddenly, Leon received a call from his friend, John, who asked when he would return because they had a surprise for him. Minji told him how lucky he was to have such friends and encouraged him to enjoy the party, so he had to leave. However, Ji-sung said that now they had to play a loyalty game. As always, the loser had to drink, and Chai was worried that if Yoon got drunk, he would try to bite her again. As expected, Yoon lost again, and before he could react, Chai quickly drank the shot herself, saying she was now the knight. Yoon made a funny face, and Chai laughed heartily, but Yoon suggested they take her for a walk to help her sober up. After they were alone, Ji-sun told Minji he thought Yoon's love was one-sided, but Minji was still sad about Leon. Meanwhile, Chai and Yoon were walking. He told her she shouldn't drink so much, but she didn't want him to either. She was scared that when he got drunk, he might bite her again, but it was her who ended up biting him. He gently explained that they needed to sit so she could rest. As they sat, she told him she was happy because she felt he was a good person. He softly replied that everyone who really knows her cares for her, but she should stay away from Leon to avoid misunderstandings. Then she asked if he liked her. He blushed and didn't know how to respond, turning away to avoid looking at her. She thought that even though her mind told her he didn't want her, she still hoped he did. He was about to answer when, suddenly, she grabbed his shirt, took off his cap and mask, and kissed him. This reminded her of when they were kids, and she had told him angrily that she didn't want to be his sister, but his girlfriend. The next morning, Chai woke up in Minji's house, feeling alarmed and wondering what had happened. She got up and went to the kitchen to prepare something to eat. Minji also woke up and was surprised to see Chai. She nervously asked her what had happened the night before. Minji began telling her that Yoon had carried her on his shoulders and they had continued drinking. She even saw herself bite Yoon on the neck. She blushed and apologized to her friend. But Chai expressed that she and Ji-sun had a lot of fun watching them. Soon after, Chai wrote to Yoon, apologizing for what had happened, and this made Yoon remember everything from last night. However, from what Chai had written, Yoon knew she didn't remember anything at all. A few minutes later, Yoon and Chai met on set, greeting each other with smiles. Both thinking that neither of them remembered anything, they started filming their scenes, and the crew began commenting on how great Chai's performance was, saying it was a pleasure to work with her. Dawn was upset by how much they were praising Chai, so she decided to go get Chai's script to damage it. But she was caught by the scriptwriter Mion Kim, who informed her that the entire place had surveillance cameras. In fact, she was the only one who entered the dressing room with coffee and then left without it. Mion showed her the video, and Dawn became nervous. Her plot was over. Mion wasn't going to let this situation slide. Chai was practicing her lines when Mrs. Kim entered with Dawn. She said she had something to tell Chai. They all sat down, and Dawn apologized, explaining that she had entered with coffee because the dress was so beautiful she wanted to see it up close, and accidentally spilled coffee on it. Chai wanted to yell at her but stayed calm and simply accepted the apology from this horrible person. Afterward, Dawn left angrily, and Mrs. Kim told Chai that if she ever needed help she shouldn't hesitate to ask. Since she now knew what had happened with the dress, Mrs. Kim also told her that Yoon had bought the new dress and even offered to sponsor the clothing brand so that Chai wouldn't have to pay for the stained dress. That night, Chai spoke to Yoon, thanking him for the dress but also telling him she felt like she was taking advantage of him, even though she knew he enjoyed his delicious blood every week. Since tomorrow marked the week, he would need to bite her. She asked if he wouldn't be too tired after filming the musical, and he said no, that he would be early to help her. After wishing her good night, he hung up the call, leaving Chai wondering why he was being so kind to her. Meanwhile, Yoon was filming his video, but his manager told him there were a few more shots to do and he needed to repeat them. Yoon was worried because it was already late and he had to return to help Chai. Besides, he had a photo shoot with Leon the next day. The next morning, Chai arrived on set, and she and Leon were doing a photo shoot, the theme being a love triangle. They had just started taking photos when Chai suddenly began feeling a headache. Leon asked if she was okay, and she assured him she was fine and not to worry, but her pain worsened, so they decided to take a break. She went to her dressing room, and just then, Yun arrived. Chai asked her manager to get her some painkillers. When he left, Yun bit Chai, and instantly her pain disappeared. She scolded him for taking so long and he hugged her, apologizing and promising it wouldn't happen again. At that moment, Leon entered with some painkillers. Yoon greeted him and Leon asked if Chai had been crying. She explained that she hadn't been crying but had only yawned, and she felt much better, thanking him for the medication. Leon looked at Yoon curiously. When everyone was about to leave the photo shoot, Leon took Yoon's hand and asked if he had bitten Chai. Yoon was surprised, thinking they had been found out. However, Leon smiled and apologized for asking that out of the blue. Meanwhile, during the photo shoot with Chai, Yoon felt jealous, especially when they were told they made a good couple. Yoon thought about what would happen if Leon found out that he had been biting Chai. Would it mean that Leon could bite her too? And if that happened, she wouldn't need him anymore. The photo shoot with Yoon went smoothly until they had to take a bite of a cake together. When their eyes met, there was a spark of electricity and both blushed, remembering what had happened at Minji's house. This made them both uncomfortable, and the crew began commenting that they didn't seem as close because they looked awkward. This made Leon think. Meanwhile, Jin was reading the comments about their dramas and saw some that said Yoon was much better than him, which annoyed him. But then he saw comments praising Chai, calling her beautiful, and that made Jin happy. Meanwhile, during the photo shoot, Chai was deep in thought. Leon approached her, about to ask if she liked Yun when the lamp suddenly fell. It almost hurt Chai, but Leon intervened and saved her. Chai was worried and asked them to call an ambulance because Leon had hurt himself. Leon headed to his dressing room. After a while, Chai went to Leon's dressing room. Since he didn't know she was about to enter, he asked his representative to put a bandage on him. When Chai saw him, she blushed, but noticing that he needed help, she immediately took care of the bandage herself. For a moment, she thought it might be best to take him to the hospital. But of course he refused, as his recovery was much faster than a human's, being a vampire. Shortly after, Chai had to leave to try on her costume. Just then, Yoon arrived to check on Leon. He asked if Leon was okay, and Leon replied that it was just bruises, which would heal quickly. Then Leon told Yun that he liked Chai and asked him to help with her. Yun went silent when Chai suddenly appeared and told them that the representative wanted to see them. Leon was surprised to see Haejeon, but Haejeon approached Leon and whispered to him, "I'm sorry, but I can't do it." Leon was shocked, but when Haejeon noticed Leon was limping, he offered to help. However, Yun, being jealous, didn't let him and instead carried Leon on his shoulders. Everyone commented on how great they looked together. Later, Chai mentioned that she had heard of a massage that could help with bruises and she was going to give Leon one, but Yun intervened, saying he would give the massages instead. At the cafeteria, they were about to eat and Leon mentioned that his hand was still shaking. Chai was about to feed him, but Yun grabbed the chopsticks and started feeding him instead. Haejeon was happy to see how well they seemed to get along. Later, Yun was exhausted and thought about why he couldn't simply ignore them and pretend not to care. The more he thought about it, the more frustrated he became, especially when he received the next script. Oh, surprise, Chai had a kissing scene with Leon, and the jealousy started to rise. It had been a week since he had bitten her, and Yun called Chai to tell her that he was waiting for her at his house and asked her to bring the script. She was surprised because he told her that since they would be together, they could rehearse. She happily agreed, and in the afternoon arrived at Yun's house. Since he said he would be late, he gave her the code to get in and make herself comfortable. But when she entered, she found the TV on. While waiting, she fell asleep and dreamt of her childhood love. When she woke up, she was startled to find herself hugging a child who looked exactly like the boy she had remembered. Soon after, Yun arrived home and saw his sister and nephew with Chai. Nervously, he told his sister that she shouldn't have arrived without warning. His sister, serious, told him that he should be grateful she had filled the fridge with food and, holding his cheek, asked Chai if Yun was always this kind to her. Chai replied that he was very kind to her. Then the cute nephew said he was a big fan of hers. His future sister-in-law then asked Chai if she liked to drink, to which Chai replied yes, although she mentioned that sometimes she would take out a bottle out of the blue. Yun's sister immediately asked for glasses. They began to toast to the younger sister she never had, and then the conversation turned to Yun. Chai mentioned that Yun was a very good person, but then Yun's sister asked if they were dating, and they all nervously denied it, explaining that Chai had only asked Yun for a favor. The adorable little boy told Chai that when he grew up, he would be a good boyfriend, making Yun blush, while his sister smiled. When she left, she told them to stay in touch, even if she wasn't with Yun. Chai happily accepted. The little boy, Gae-young, told his mum to leave, as he wanted to stay and sleep with Chai. But Yun carried his nephew in his arms, and he yelled, "No, Chai Nunna, poor thing!" He wanted to stay with his future girlfriend, but it was no use. Soon after, they were alone. Yun gave her dose of medicine, and Chai looked at him intently. When he looked back at her, she blushed and quickly turned her face, thanking him. They were both so awkward, but then Chai said that his sister was very kind and that little Gae-young was so sweet. Yun laughed and told her that he was just a show-off, always wanting to win at everything. Chai said she was really surprised when she saw him because he looked so much like the boy she had liked when she was little. Her first love. Before she could continue, Yun asked if she had brought the script so they could start rehearsing. They had been rehearsing the first part for a while, and Yun suggested they move on to the next scene. Chai hesitated, saying that part was with Leon, but they started rehearsing it anyway. When they reached the kissing scene, Chai nervously smiled and said they had already practiced enough. Yun curiously asked if she had kissed anyone before, to which she replied no, but that this scene was with Leon. He explained that it would be awkward because of the cameras and the crew, and she nodded, understanding. As always on YouTube, there are thousands of tutorials on how to kiss professionally, but of course he wasn't going to watch them. Suddenly, Yun, getting closer to Chai, suggested that she practice on him. She got very nervous, her heart pounding, and quickly said no. Yun, a bit sad, accepted her refusal, thinking he might be coming on too strong. Seeing this expression, Chai told him to start over. They began again with the kissing scene and, nervously, she asked, "What if my fangs come out in the middle of it?" Yoon, reassuring her, said not to worry because that wouldn't happen. He gently cupped her face and kissed her. It was a long kiss. Meanwhile, at a nightclub, Jisung was celebrating her friend's birthday when Yoon arrived. An unwanted guest. They introduced themselves and Jisung mentioned that she had heard a lot about Yoon. Her friend started teasing her, asking if she was happy with her drama and why she hadn't been seen with him lately. Yoon explained that she was choosing her next movie project. Suddenly, one of her friends asked if it was true that Yoon went to the same school as Chai. Yoon confirmed it, and upon hearing this, the friend asked him to help with Chai. But the other friends joked, saying that Chai liked Yoon and followed him everywhere. They started talking badly about Chai, and Yoon, in his vain manner, said that since Chai also liked him, he chose her, of course, because she was the best option. Then Jizun asked Yoon if Chai had confessed her feelings to him. Yoon arrogantly replied that it was obvious. Jizun laughed, saying maybe he was just fooling himself. Yoon got furious, and his friend said they had always thought that Chai liked Yoon, but Jizun disagreed. She said she didn't believe it because in the short time she had known Chai, she was very kind and friendly, so people could easily confuse those feelings. However, she had noticed that Chai was interested in someone else. Her curiosity piqued. Her friends asked who that person was, but Yoon refused to say. They quickly concluded it was Yoon. Meanwhile, Chai was still practicing the kiss scene with Yoon when she received a call from Jun. She was so focused that everything got ruined when she answered the phone. Jun told her he was at a nightclub and asked if she could come. She was nervous and told him she couldn't come right now, but they could meet another time. After saying this, she hung up, leaving Jun even more furious. After the call ended, Yoon overheard Chai's stomach growling for food. Without wasting any time, he rushed to prepare something for her. Out of nowhere, Chai began remembering the kiss she shared with Yoon at Minji's house during the party, and this made her incredibly nervous, especially since he was sober and most likely remembered it. Nervously, she grabbed a bottle of wine, and Yoon quickly took her out to eat before she got drunk. While they ate, Chai asked if he had kissed many people before, which startled Yoon. She told him that for her, it had been her first kiss. Chai then started searching online for kisses from Yoon's dramas, and Yoon, feeling nervous and trying to stop her, spilled a glass of wine on his clothes. Chai quickly removed his shirt, claiming she needed to wash it, leaving Yoon semi-nude. As she tried to clean the wine stain, she couldn't stop thinking about why she was feeling this way, especially since it was just a practice. Yoon, getting closer to her, said it had also been his first kiss, and that practicing was good for both of them. Annoyed, Chai turned away, but when she saw him semi-nude, she got scared and quickly told him to go put his shirt back on, even though it was she who had left him in that state. Later, Chai went upstairs and overheard a phone conversation where Yoon was talking to a girl and, worse still, they were making plans to meet at a hotel. This devastated her, and she immediately decided to go home. However, Yoon saw her and insisted on taking her home. When they arrived, before getting out of the car, Chai shouted at him, demanding he not lie to her again, saying that this wasn't their first kiss, since they had kissed just a few nights ago. With that, she got out of the car and went inside her house. At the entrance, she was met by Jun, who scolded her for not answering his calls. He, foolishly, grabbed her tightly and said he missed her, not as a friend but in a way that implied more. Chai told him to let go, but Yun arrived just in time. Yun, wanting to talk to her alone, was so stubborn that he grabbed Jun by the shirt and forced him to step away from Chai. Seeing this, Chai stepped in and told both of them to go home and talk later. She left, leaving them alone. And June also left, but not without warning Yun not to get close to Chai again. The next day, Yun arrived on set and overheard that Leon had been brushing his teeth all day because he was going to kiss Chai. Yun was excited, thinking it would surely be their first kiss, but of course it wasn't, since June had already kissed her. On set, Chai was nervous and had just run into Yoon, who told her to think about how they had practiced together. When they finally reached the kissing scene, Chai kissing Leon couldn't help but remember the kiss with Yoon.